Hey guys, it's been a little while since we've had a tutorial, but I'm back with another cake challenge cake. The Brigade voted for the theme Disney Summer, and here is the mood board I put together for a little bit of inspiration. We're thinking summer style films, beachy Disney vibes. For my piece, I went straight with the obvious, and that is Olaf in summer. And if you want to see what everybody else made, stick around at the end of the video where you can vote for your favourite in the comments below. So here I've got my 6-inch round cake and it's already ganached. There are 2 tutorials on how to make ganache and how to apply the ganache linked in the description box below. And then from this stage I'm just going to dampen the top and cover it in a sandy coloured sugar paste. This was just made with white, yellow and a bit of brown. Then I'm rolling some of the same colour around the sides, but don't worry if it doesn't reach all the way around. We're kind of going for partial sand and partial sea, so I'm just cutting up diagonally where I want my wave to meet the sand. Then I'm just cutting off the excess from the top so I can see what I'm doing. You just want to remove any parts that you actually want to be water. So we've just got this little strip of sand here, which I'm smoothing and buffing out. For the sea, I'm just using blue sugar paste that's slightly marbled. To do this, you just want to add some food colouring and not fully blend it all the way in. Just leave it once it hits this marble effect. I'm then just following my lines, filling in and covering the rest of the ganache. Don't worry too much about where the sand meets the sea, as this is going to be covered anyway. I'm pretty sure there's a Moana reference in there somewhere. Now we've got to this step, we're doing the same thing with the board. I have a full tutorial on the toilet seat method below, however on this one we are cutting it into similar how we did the cake, leaving some of it to be sand and the rest filling in with water. Again, don't worry about if you've got a messy join, you're not going to be able to see it. Then I'm going to take some of the excess blue paste, add it to a little bit of water in a bowl and pop it in the microwave. You just want to do short bursts and it will slowly start to melt, and I'm just pushing out some of the lumps. At this stage I'm adding white gel because the waves and the foam is always lighter than the colour of the rest of the water. I'm then just swirling and patting it across the join to create foaming waves of the sea. You might have a few lumps in it. Don't worry, it's absolutely fine, it will add texture and dimension. This stuff is super sticky, so I'm taking advantage of that and throwing on some little white pearls, just to create more foam and bubbles. Now onto Olaf. He's just a white, soft cone shape, with a little blob of white on the top for the centre of his body. We're laying him down on the top of the cake and then adding some more soft small cones for his feet. This is just regular sugar paste stuck together with water, but for his face I have added a little bit of Tylo powder here just due to the shape, and I want to make sure it holds. We start off with a ball and we're tapering down the neck and up towards the eye area, leaving the centre the chunkiest and widest part. The lower neck area is a little bit longer than the one at the top. I'm then marking in a curve where I want the smile and another one underneath, removing the excess paste with a scalpel. You just want to pull that white paste out and then replace it with some black on the inside. I'm just pushing it to manipulate it with the flat end of the Dresden tool. I'm then marking in a little bit of a bottom lip. It does look really harsh at first with your tool, but once you've got the shape right, you can go back in with your finger to rub out any harsh lines. And then we're widening that smile with some little holes at either end. His tooth is just a large blob of white paste, which I'm just manipulating into a rectangle shape with my tool. Then I'm laying it down just to flatten the eye area before marking in little hollows for a nose to sit and round cavities for the eyeballs. I'm then just filling these back in with white paste again before adding some black pupils. Then back in with tiny balls of white for the catch lights in the top right hand corner. I've washed my hands multiple times as I switch between the black and the white to make sure that there's no transfer. For the eyelids, I'm actually using a very pale lilac colour just to add a bit of variation. It's almost like a piece of rice that I've laid across the top, and I'm just pushing the corners down over the pupils. Here you'll see me starting to make the nose. I'm just rolling a cone shape of orange, holding it up to the face before deciding it's a little bit too big and making it smaller. Third time lucky, and this little cone goes in and will be the perfect size once I flatten it out. I'm just pushing it into that cavity and taking off a little bit of the neck at the bottom to make sure it's the right size for the rest of the body. And then back with the black again to make some eyebrows. You'll see I'm manipulating the shape of them with the edge of my tool. The eyelids, along with the placement of the eyebrows, gives him a bit of a suave look. And then I'm going a little bit extra and adding a very thin line of black paint just to define those eyelids. And that's it, his head is pretty much done. I'm then holding his head where I want it to be and inserting a cocktail stick down into the cake to hold his head on nice and straight. As we've been using the black, we're just going to place on some slightly imperfect circles for his buttons. For his arms, I'm using some dark brown paste, rolling it into a thin sausage and flattening out one end. From here we're cutting out a little triangle to create his thumb and then some slits for fingers. I'm attempting to separate these a little bit just to create movement, and I'm bending in an elbow. I've then cut this down to size and I'm attaching the shoulder and placing his hand on top of his body in a relaxed position. Now, old school decorators will know exactly what this is. It's just a little plastic cocktail glass. We used these quite heavily back in the day and I still found some lurking in the back of my cupboard. I've just added his other arm and decided where I wanted the glass before pushing it into the top layer of sugar paste with a little bit of water. Once we've wrapped his arm around and glued it into position, it will dry nicely there. And here you can see how his eyelids and his eyebrows creates this very content look. I've then switched back to my dark brown again to create tiny little spikes for the top of his head. Just manipulate them into position with your tool. I'm adding sunglasses now, so I'm just cutting a strip of black paste and cutting out some tapered rectangles, and then just softening the sharp edges just to round them out a little bit and adding them to his face, but further down near his nose so you can still actually see his eyes above them. Once they're in position, I'm just adding the nose bridge piece and flattening out some sausages of paste, curling the end over like a tiny crochet hook for the arms of the sunglasses. These are just glued with water to the sunglasses and the side of the head. Very fiddly, but worth it. I did go extra here and paint in the lenses with a dark black paint, that it's got a slight shimmer to it. However, this is completely optional because you can't really see it that much. I'm then filling his glass with a little bit of piping gel that I've tinted with red gel, adding some more pearls as bubbles and some more clear piping gel over the top for a fancy cocktail. Not forgetting a little yellow circle with a notch cut out of it for decoration. I've got a large polystyrene ball and I'm just cutting off the very top of the dome. I'm not cutting it in half, we're more just cutting like the top third off to create a shallow dome. I've then got some dark red and some orange, and I'm cutting out some large triangles from the red and layering them on the orange in an umbrella style pattern. With the dome, I've just covered the underside in the same orange and hot glued a kebab stick in the centre so it's not going to slide down. I've got a circle that is bigger than my dome and I'm just using it as a guide to cut out the spiked edges of the umbrella around it. I've painted the top of the dome with a little bit of piping gel to help it stick, and I'm laying over our umbrella shape. It might take a little bit of work to get out the pleats, but I find tipping it upside down helps a little. I'm then pushing the kebab stick down and leaving the umbrella just above Olaf's head. For extra decoration, I'm just using various shell moulds. This paste has a little bit of Tylo powder added, which allows you to get the paste out of the mould much easier. You just dust it with icing sugar and then it's not as sticky, so that your shell should pop straight out. I've just made a few in different designs and dusted them with some pearl luster dust. For the name, I do always like to use a custom font instead of using my cutters all the time, so here I've got the name Ellie Mae on some greaseproof paper that I've copied from my computer. I'm then just placing it over some white paste and tracing around the letters with my Dresden tool. You'll see this leaves an impression in the paste, and then I'm just following it again with my scalpel to cut out the letters. I've then overlaid these letters onto some orange paste and stuck them down with water before following the edge again with the scalpel. I'm just following the contours of the letters. Then you can go an extra step further and overlay this again, but this time I've scored some brown paste into a wood effect, and I'm just creating a wooden panel with broken edges. Something you would find like a little bit of broken driftwood on the beach. I'm then sticking this across the front of the cake with a little bit of water and attaching the seashells on either side. To hide our top edge and give it more of a beach feel, I've painted some piping gel right across the edge, and I'm just placing some light brown sugar, gently adding it with a paintbrush and cleaning it up as I go. For a quick beach ball, I've just got some yellow paste that I'm pushing a polystyrene ball inside of. The reason for this is the larger your sugar paste ball, the more gravity is going to take hold. It's not going to stay round, so we use a polystyrene ball in the centre to help keep it more of its rounded shape. I'm then just taking some orange balls of paste and pushing them into the surface before rolling it again in my hands to flatten all the dots out into spots. And then just sticking this to the side of the cake with a little bit of water and adding the edge using tappets. And here he is! You can see I've just added a little straw there, which is a bent piece of white floral wire and a few pumps of sugar flare glitter. He's enjoying his little cocktail and looking very happy about it. The waves have now set and they're not sticky anymore, and we have our light brown sugar adding to that beachy feel. You can see I've also added a few rocks here and there because I am a sucker for a little bit of detail. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Don't forget to stick around to see what the Brigadiers have made for their Disney summer pieces. Some are cakes, some are toppers, but it's so nice to be able to share a few more entries with you this time. Don't forget to vote for your favourites in the comments below, let the Brigadiers know what you thought of their pieces, and if you want to join us for the next one, you can. The link to the Brigade is always in the description box. Thanks guys, see you next time.